Good morning, everyone. Welcome once more to the Aurum Consultants podcast on this bright, beautiful morning of the last Saturday of September 2020. And I'm very excited once more to be with you. And today I am joined with my great friend, Frank Kitonga, the Country Director, Nehemiah Project, Kenya. Frank, karibu sana.
Asanda, thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. And my Zipporah Kuria, a HR consultant with Aurum Consultants, karibu.
Asante sana. Good morning all.
Yes. And we welcome your feedback as you listen. If there are things you'd like us to talk about, just post a comment in the comment section and we'll be glad to highlight it as we go. Now, today we have a hot topic. I would call it a hot topic because anytime you are running a business and you have a team that you've hired people here and there to come work with you as an entrepreneur, or you have joined a company that has hired you, you would want to know, who am I joining a team that knows where it's going? Am I joining a team that has great prospects going to the future? Because I don't believe there is anybody who wants to join a losing team. You don't want to join a place where it's lousy, it's directionless, it's hopeless. So today we want to discuss how to build a winning or a great team. And my brother Frank is, I believe you're bursting with a word to give us insights on how to go about this thing. So I want to start with this question. I don't know whether I'll start with Zippy or with Frank. Probably, let me start with Zippy. Probably she can give us a hint so that Frank can flow along. The first question would be, what constitutes a great or a winning team?
Thank you, Anthony. Let me first start saying, for you to get a great team, we have to start from the basics. And the basics would go back to our hiring, our recruiting processes, which we have talked about before. But the question I would ask would be, would hiring a great talent constitute having a great team? And my response to that would be no. It's a good thing to make sure your hiring process is right. You hire the right person for the job, but that does not necessarily mean that they are going to make a great team. As a business person or as an HR person, you have to put the processes in place. You have to put what is necessary in place to enable this person be able to perform well and blending into the team. And it all starts with induction. When you get a great candidate for a job, how do you induct them into the company? How do they get to settle in and start flowing with the other team members, settle in with their job on their day-to-day activities? That is the first place you have to start in settling this team members that you want to eventually form a great team. Because if you are starting a business, you probably start with one person, then 2, 3, 4, 5 people before you realize you're 50 people. But it's about how you start it in the first place. So you induct them into the system and they settle down. The other thing that would come into play is do you have a clear objective or a clear plan where the business is going? Most of us sometimes don't know where we are going, and we bring in these great talents and expect them to take our businesses to the next level. But the truth is, if you are not understanding where you're going as a business person in the first place, then you lose your team somewhere. So your team might not become as great as you intend them to be because you're not showing them that leadership, you're not showing them that direction. So there's a lot of things that as a business person you need to do to set the basics, to set the guideline, to set the tempo of creating this winning team by showing them where the business is going in the first place. Of course, it also comes down to issues of objectives for the employee or for the candidate you have gotten into this job. Do they understand what it is that they need to do in the first place, and how do they fit into the whole puzzle so that, again, they are able to do a great job and be able to blend in with the other team members? So there's a lot of things actually that need to be done to start creating that team that you're looking for.
Awesome, awesome, very powerful points that you've made. Issues to do with objectivity, great talent, hiring right, job description. Frank, you have been in the corporate world, in the corporate sector for, is it 20, 30 years? It's been a while. And I'm sure you know a thing or two about building great teams. What's your perspective?
So what's amazing, Tony, is what's amazing for me is Jesus needed the right team.
Aha, good.
Think about that. As in, he's God. Imagine supernatural powers.
Yes.
But you still need the right team, even at that level. Can you imagine that?
Imagine.
That team had to function. Nobody is that good that they will deliver a life transforming organization, huge, transforming, impactful is the word, without a team. Because we are all, none of us is that good. As in, you can be super. As in, if it's about running a race like you're Bolt, and it's you, even Bolt needs a team. Do you imagine that?
Yes.
You know how many coaches come around that man to enable him? A mental coach. You want a nutrition coach. You want an endurance coach sometimes, and a speed coach. Even that guy who performs alone on a tracking event needs a team. And a team that is delivering. So I just want to underscore first, as in I've held different positions and if there's any failure I can say I can own is when I didn't build the right team. I had a thought I wanted to say earlier. Whenever you want to recruit, obviously, and we will talk about that, or whenever you want to keep, assuming you've brought in the right people and everything that ZP is super at, after you have that team and you have that team that is with you, and you're going, as in, it's one thing to attract people with a vision, an amazing vision. You say, hey, this is a vision, this is where to go, and you attract the right team. That vision you have is still very individualistic. If you now take the right team and then they build the strategy together and you go with them where you wanted to go, and now it's no longer your vision they're following, however compelling it is their own, it is owned, it is their own. It is no longer a job, it is their life, it is instilled in their values, in their own passion. When you get a team to do that, you actually sit on the side and watch life go.
Come on.
And watch business happen. And that's not an easy skill to have, because first of all, it takes just a lot of emotional health. And we'll probably talk a bit more about that. But that's just my first point to say, that nobody can go to a part that impacts the world without the right team.
Wow. Frank, you have brought a very powerful perspective that Christ, Jesus himself, that although he was God, and we could say, he was limited as a man, he came in as a man, but you think about it, even in the Old Testament, it talks about the Lord of hosts. He has some version of the Bible say he has a divine council. He has beings in his council as a king who, though he is omniscient and omnipotent, he still involves them in his decisions. The Bible talks about him building the earth, creating the earth and discussing about how he wants to do in the book of Genesis. So the idea of a winning team is not so much that an issue of you not being capable of executing your dream and vision, but being able to work in cooperation with others. That's something very powerful that you brought in. Now, which now brings me to the next question that I was thinking about. then, and this one I'll direct it to Zipporah because she discussed about, the issues of hiring and all that. Does hiring right mean that you will have a great team? Zipporah, does hiring, I want you to bring it a bit more. Does hiring right? Because you may have people who have you may have a vision, you may have a dream, you may have an idea of where you want to go, your dream is compelling, but don't you think hiring right will enable you to have a great team?
That is a good starting point. So hiring right alone does not constitute having a good team, but
Sure.
it's a place to start. You have to start from hiring right in the first place, because if you hire wrong, then there's no way the wrong candidate for the position will end up constituting to a great team. And the reason is because they will not be able to perform. So there's going to be a lot of issues in the team members if one team member is not pulling in their weight simply because they are not a good fit. So hiring right will be the first place and the first basic that we need to start with. So we hire right, and now we start building up on the other angles that needs to constitute an environment where we have a winning team. One of the things that I will mention is the environment we create for our employees. That environment alone also contributes into whether our team will be a team that will be supportive, a team that will be winning, a team that will feel that they belong in this organization. And one of the questions I keep on asking myself, and even our clients, is, would our employees today say, this is the best place to work in, this is the best place I want to work in, or this is the employer of a choice that I have? Or am I the kind of an employer, this employee is looking at me as a stepping stone, they're looking at another opportunity? So for me to create that environment, I also need to ask myself, am I creating a good employee experience? Because if I'm not creating a good employee experience, then how do I expect to end up having a winning team? So from an employer perspective, I need to look at the whole process and say, from the word go, when I employ this person, I engage this person, what kind of experience am I going to give them as they move along, for them to feel I belong in this place, I am going to be a positive contributor to the team. And you get this from different employees, then you will end up having a team that is actually working towards your objectives. You're going to end up having a team that is actually a winning team. But it has to go back to what experiences are we creating for the team members that we are bringing on board.
Okay, that's a wonderful perspective, Frank. What do you see? What's your view about the hiring aspect in order to build a good team?
Let me tell you, hiring for me is such an important part of this. You get this off, it can really cost you a lot. As in, I mean, think about Jim Collins, what he said in his book of Good to Great. The difference between the companies that were good to great. He says 5 points, but one key one he says is right people at the right place. When the right people are not in the right place, the organization. So of course the culture of it is also key. But before we even get to that, just the right material, as in. So let me say this. What does a wrong staff look like? For a minute, let's try and say. Sure. So now I have the wrong person. The attitude is, there are people who enter into a team and they suck the blood out of the team. When you see that happening, you have the wrong person. When as in they are not a net producer, and I like this point. As I jotted some notes down here, Tony, there are people who their net, their net when they have come. When you compare the good things they're doing and the bad things they're doing, when the bottom line is negative, hapa niligonga mwamba hapa. There are guys who are always demanding for a higher pay, I need we're not paid. When we look at how much this company is doing and the much we are taking home, this company is cooling us. When people are talking like that, it's constant. And I'm not saying employees cannot ask for an increase. As in, I want good employees need to negotiate.
Sure.
But I'm talking about this nagging people. We call them disengaged. When they are not just engaged, but they are destructive.
Yeah.
But there's another point to this. I've just given you some nuggets for people who are in strife, bad attitude. But you can have a good employee in the wrong place. Now, how do you differentiate those two? How do you differentiate that this is not the wrong person, but they're just not? One of the key things is you look at they still deliver, but they deliver when they're stressed, they're hurting. You see, the work ethic to deliver results is there, but they do it from a very stressful point. They are not enjoying what they're doing. So you see, attitude shows there that they're still doing, their goals are met. They're talking about this guy, they're still coming to work on time. But even the speed at which they're doing this thing is like, you can tell this guy was not meant to be an accountant. Look, Tony.
Yes.
I've worked in finance for very many years. To this day, if we enter at a finance class, I am very good. I'll sort you out. But it was never my passion. I enjoyed it. I worked there. But the day I entered supply chain and I was calling people, suppliers, hey, what's up now? Let's do this. Let's change this. Let me tell you, I was saving the company bottom line 2 to 3% turnover. And I'm not talking small companies. Something kicked in me. The finance information really helped me do this job. But when I was in a place where I'm meeting people, talking to them, dealing with them, suddenly I was another animal. So you've got to differentiate between guys who are, and attitude is a good differentiator here. Work ethic. You watch how somebody is dealing, even about money. I remember telling my boss one day, I said, I will never ask you for a pay rise, but I'll always ask you when I'm ready for the next job. But please figure out before I go to the next best guy who's offering me what I need. My point here is this: differentiate between wrong people in your team and differentiate between people in the wrong job. If you figure somebody in the wrong job but they are the right person, try to create an opportunity where they will be at their best. If you do that, you're on your way to creating that winning team.
Wow. Frank, you have nailed it, maridadi kabisa. You've put it so well about the wrong person in a job and the right person in the wrong job. As in, you're waking up and you're thinking, I'm going to that place of work, and you're feeling tired. And you enter that workplace and you're wondering, what am I doing here? And if you're an employer, if you're a HR manager, if you're an entrepreneur, and you notice the way you've put, somebody has the right mentality, he or she has the right mentality, has the right attitude, but there's something about the productivity that is slagging. That if you were to find a place to place them, to find what is naturally their gifting, what is naturally what they love to do, if they're a people person, and there's a place where they can execute the way you've said it, in supply chain, in marketing, in sales, in customer service, and this person is thriving, then you have gotten yourself, you've shifted the person to a place where they're enjoying, and you're in the process of creating a winning team. We welcome your comments. Please keep sending them. Billy Batowski, we thank you for tuning in. Now, I'm thinking about that, what you've just mentioned about hiring means that you have does hiring right? I remember one of my own personal examples. For the longest time, I've been working in the banking sector, 20 plus years. And initially it was exciting. I was young, I just finished, come out of school, college and all. And I'm excited, I'm working, I'm doing well. all those clerical positions. But it reached a point. I'm thinking, no, what I'm doing, I don't know. It's so repetitive. It's so tiring. It's so tedious. And I couldn't tell you. I mean, for me, yes, you're trained on customer service. You're trained on the institutional values and all things that you need to do. But I wasn't there. I don't think I was participating in creating a winning team. And just like in your example, I tried looking for options. I would think, okay, if I go to credit department with my qualifications, probably I'll enjoy doing it. But like most employers, my employer was like, you know what? The people we had in credit, those are what we needed. You were focused on your job. Ukichoka na kazi, mlango ndio ile. Okay? And unfortunately, I don't think I contributed very well in being part of that winning team, in being part of a great team. Yes, I was coming on time. I was looking good. Yes, customers, when they come, I'm giving them whatever they need, but I was not enjoying myself. Which now brings me to the third questions. What ways can executives use to build a winning team? Let me start with Zipporah. What are the ways that, by executives, I mean the HR, from you coming down. What ways can they use to be able to create that winning team?
One of the ways I believe executives can help create that winning team is by engaging their team members. Get to know your team members. Get to understand who are they really? What do they love doing? Why did they look for this job? Why are they doing things the way they're doing? So get to understand them as a person so that, again, you can be able to lead them as a leader, knowing this is the kind of a person I have in my team. The other thing is you need to be able to listen. Are you the kind of a leader who listens to your team members? Like Frank has mentioned something about what he used to tell his boss. I will not ask for a pay rise, but I will ask for it when I'm moving to my next job. So it's your job to actually figure out. When an employee gives you information like that, as an executive, are you listening and are you actively actually getting involved and watching what is happening so that you don't miss out on something that would have made this employee a great employee? So there's a lot of things I think executives or HRs can do to help create that enabling environment where team members, again, can grow and become great teams. I have talked about earlier about the employee experience. As a leader, what kind of communication structure do you have? Are employees able to reach out to you as an executive? Or are you the kind of an executive where employees will never get to see you? I actually appreciate when I see the top bosses doing Gamba walks and getting to get to the bottom of where the work is being done. Look, for example, like in factories where you find this, the level of leadership, there are layers. And you find the person at the bottom of that layer, they will never get an opportunity actually to even have a one-on-one with the executive. But it makes a lot of difference when that executive actually takes a walk and meets, these people who are doing the actual job and engages with them one-on-one. And they start having this feeling of, I belong. Someone from the top has noticed me. I'm not just existing to do this job, but someone is appreciating what I'm doing. So there's a lot actually that we can do to help our teams become greater teams. And I'm sure as Frank contributes, I will keep on, picking up on him and throwing in many, many other different ways I think we can be able to help our teams become greater teams.
Okay, so you brought in the issue. I remember when I was studying management, there's something called MBWA, management by walking around.
No, that's not what I was talking about.
Yes, MBWA, dog in Kiswahili, management by walking around. Let me give you guys, Frank, before I ask you your perspective.
Yeah.
I've remembered an example. The last banking job I did 5 years ago. I mean, I'm telling you, as an executive, you can build or destroy your team with your attitude. I walked into a branch where the branch manager then I mean, that he, for some reason, just because of his personality, he had generated such a good team. People were talking highly of him. They enjoyed coming to work. Whether it's the people in credit, whether it's people in cashiers, whether people in customer service, whether it's people in whatever departments, that whole team enjoyed him. And the guy was not that he was not very learned. I don't think he knew much about these management philosophies. He just generated a good environment for his staff. A good environment. They were comfortable going to his office. You come to his office, open door policy, sit down, and he would even tell you, let's prepare a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and you tell me what's your problem. And you would be able to talk. Now, that guy left, and the guy who came in as I was coming in was the polar opposite of creating an environment. That dude used to, he would call people names. He would call his staff names. He would tell them the way I can kick you out of this company like now. And he desires to be tried so that he can do that. I mean, for the time that I was there, I can tell you there was no teamwork. There was no building team. Yes, business grew because there are targets to be met, but the morale plummeted. People looked for transfers, and nobody wanted to be there. And the other day I met some of my former workmates. I asked them, so how is life there? They said like 80% of the staff quit the bank because of that one manager. Just because I wanted to bring an issue of the culture, the atmosphere that an executive, a team leader can either build up or destroy, a winning team. So that was an interjection. Frank, how do executives build? How can they build a winning team?
This is a hard one. This is not an easy one. The reason is,
yes,
I was that manager once in my life, Tony. That bad one, the one who everyone resigned. I was that guy. There's a time I had just three people reporting to me. It was not much. Two of them resigned.
Because of you?
Because of me. It was not, they were earning well, they were doing what? They left because of my abuse. And I was a good Christian. In fact, I was still the pastor of the organization.
But when it comes to work, you are something else.
Yes. First, so that was hard. Let me tell you. When I started to look inside, I was like, I'm a God-fearing man. Sikuwa na wakatia. What is it that will make somebody think the person who Grace decided to marry is not as good as that? As in And I started a journey inside to check what is it about me that gets that annoyed. So I think that's one of the things I want to say. If you're a CEO out there, you're a business leader, you're a department head,
yes,
there's need to begin to look inside.
Yes.
And I talked about emotional health, where you need to say, because there's no such thing as building a great team, guys. No such thing as building a great team by somebody who is not a great leader. Those things don't exist.
Come on. Yes.
And great leaders, the first place for leadership begins. While leadership is influence, leadership begins in you beginning to change from the inside. The humility to say there's a need here, there needs to change. And that has taken me, that has probably been my very long journey of not less than 15 years.
Wow.
To this day, I am working on this. And I wanted to say that that's one of the places. So emotional health for the leader is key. Any leader that is not strong, an emotionally healthy leader, you will fail. And that's why I do a program called Identity and Destiny.
Yes.
And one of the reasons I see even entrepreneurs make bad decisions is when they begin where they're not emotionally healthy. Another reason. So by the grace of God, I grew to be president for another company. And now I ran a team of over 50 people. In fact, I think I met so many people and I cut the number down significantly as part of the job. The toughest thing I ever did, Tony, was to fire somebody on the spot for crossing the line on culture. Because we had the culture of servant leadership. And this was one of the leaders below me, and they were outrightly mistreating their people, especially because they were thieves. And I fired this guy on the spot. I said, you've got to leave right now for compulsory leave right this minute, because we're going to investigate for the next 1 month. If you didn't do this, then it's okay. But what you've done, you've got to leave right now. The strength to do that is the strength that creates big teams. And let me explain. If you cannot stand for the values, and you don't stand, you don't say that there's a point where you cannot go beyond, where you are willing to fire your wife, you're willing to fire your brother, you're willing to release anybody else. If you can't get there, then you're not serious about the values of your organization, your culture collapses. If people cannot trust that what you say you mean, Tony, let me say this unequivocally. The culture of your organization will be weak. You cannot be able, it's not possible for you to build a great team. So you've got to be able to say, this is where the line is about the way we behave. And this, if you're not that leader who can do that, let me tell you, my organization at that time changed significantly because people realize, oh, if you cross that line, you're no longer here. Everyone toes the line. But let me say, as a leader inside you, that's not easy to do. That's why you've got to grow emotionally, not to do wrong things to people, but also to have the guts, the strength, the integrity to do the right thing when it is not popular. Many times my team will come and they will see Kanjo had come, they said, you've got to give this money because of XYZ. And I will tell the Kanjo guys, in these organizations, we do not do this. And everyone will say, oh my God, this guy actually means what he says. I was sad one day to realize our drivers will now have to go into their pocket and give money because they knew if you call Frank and say, oh, we need this money, it will not happen. My point is, culture is only going to be based on you, the leader. The most important human being in creating where you need to go to create the team you want. The most important human being is the leader of the organization. Forget the family, even the business place. Family is more important, but even the business place, people live based on the conscience of the leader. The ultimate leader is the owner of culture, is the owner of great teams. If we cannot trust you 100%, then we will not do what you say. We will do what you say when you want to hear. But when you're not there and when you cannot know, I will do what I say.
Wow. Frank, dude, this place is, the way Jeff Koinange says, this place is smoking. You have hit that nail on the head. Issues of good to great, that the integrity of the leader is the one that sets the pace for creating a winning team. That if people know what you say is what you mean, and what you mean is what you say, then they will be able to follow you. Because they know very clearly, this is where you're going. This is what you mean. If you're saying, do not come late, and if you come late, there'll be consequences. If you're saying, this is how you want things to be done, and people know that, as a leader, this is what you mean, then they will follow it. Wow. If you are listening to us or
let me
watching
say
us,
one quick one. Let me
yes,
tell you, I have a friend who is a school director or school owner.
yes,
In his school, well, this is not a very good example, but I want to just say, in this school, he is he waits. His teachers have to report by 6 a.m.
huh?
I am not joking, guys. 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
At 5:30, he is there. 6 a.m.
Yeah.
6:01, whichever teacher comes after 6:01
Yeah.
goes home.
Hey, okay.
And he doesn't tell his head teacher. He says he's there himself. I look at this man, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. Does the school have results? Yes.
Wow.
Is the school growing? Yes. It's like he's managed to confirm that, and then he is the last one to leave. He's
First
with
in,
them.
first out.
He provides food for them. He does what? He does other things. I don't think that I support 100% teachers have to be there 6 a.m. I don't agree necessarily with that. I'm
Yes.
just showing you an example of somebody who lives their heart out, their culture,
Wow.
they that. And those people who agree with that core value are
Mm-hmm.
able to work with him. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is when there is an incongruence, when
Mm-hmm.
there's a, what you say, what you do is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Under the table where you can't see, you'll
Mm-hmm.
actually lose customers, you lose business. It will not be consistent.
Wow. 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 Yeah, as you say, that's a tough example, but that's a very good example, actually. In terms of you want to build a winning team, then be the example. You're telling them, do not do A, do not do B, I want this done. And they see you walking the talk and there are consequences to towing out of line. Then, even if somebody doesn't like what you're doing, they respect you because you know what you say is what you do. You know. Now, I can see our time is really going. And thank you, Naomi Wambua, for praising our talk. Yes, as you say, there is more to building a winning team than hiring right. That is very true. As you've just heard, there is the leadership aspect where if you're not walking the talk, if you're not pushing yourself as a leader and pushing your team to excellent heights, then you cannot build a winning team in that style. Now, I want to ask the final question, the final thought that I have in my mind. What role does culture play in creating a winning team? Zippy, probably you could tell us. Uh, what role does culture play?
I was hoping you'll throw that question to Frank. He's an expert in that. But let me say that what is culture really? It's our way of doing things. And how do we do things in an organization? The culture we have, is it a culture that fosters a team that is going to grow the business, a team that is going to feel we belong? I keep on saying employees spend most of their time actually in the work environment.
Sure.
The culture we have created there, is it a culture that is to build them? Is it a culture that will help them grow as individuals, grow in their profession, feel that this is a place that I want to spend my long hours in? Or is it a culture that we have created where people feel like, I don't want to be here? And every time I wake up in the morning, I want to go to work, all I'm doing is complaining. And the moment you start having employees complaining, then the truth is you are not building a winning culture. And even before we start talking about culture, let's go back to what we talked about earlier when we bring in a new employee and we impact. And this is an excellent employee. They have all the qualifications, they have all the experience. Now, I'm trying to assume, for instance, if I was to bring someone to work for Aurum Consultants, in as much as they might be an HR expert, they might not understand the way we do our operations. They might not understand the day-to-day running of the activities of the business. So we actually need to take them through some sort of a training and help them understand how we do things. So as leaders, again, are we building our teams and making sure we train them? And this actually forms part of the culture. Are we training these employees to understand this is our way of doing things? Are we being open enough to allow our employees to talk back to us and give us feedback, and for us to take that feedback and use it constructively for the future? Because a lot of times employees give feedback, but as executives, we actually don't take that feedback seriously and consider it when we are making decisions. And what happens, these employees actually start holding back. So they don't give you the feedback that you need, so that again you can be able to make decisions based on what they have given. And what happens? They start feeling secluded. They start feeling no one takes us seriously. No one really listens to us. And that actually starts building up the culture of the organization. And you will hear employees say, the management doesn't listen to us. The management doesn't hear anything we say, and they don't value our feedback. So it's important for us in the things we do on a day-to-day basis to realize employees have a big part to play in it. Because you have to remember, you cannot run the business alone. You need them to be able to help you run the business. So it's also important to incorporate them in the organization as partners as well, so that they know I have a part to play. This business does not just belong to Frank. This business belongs to all of us. And they start having that ownership way of doing things, because they are not doing it from a place of just performing a job. They're doing it because I belong, I feel appreciated, my feedback is valued, and if it's valued, I'm able to actually give more feedback that I believe will be able to build the business. So again, issues of values and goals, are we creating values that employees can be able to, identify with our values? And even as we are recruiting, are people that we are bringing in able to understand what our values are and live those values? Again, creating the company culture. And culture is a very wide subject that I'm sure Frank will agree with me that cannot be just discussed in this forum. But there's a lot of things that we do that actually end up creating the culture of the organization. And the big question is a culture that is fostering a team that is a winning team.
Wow. Thanks for that. Frank, what's your insight concerning the role of culture in building up a winning team?
Yeah, so I think the Zippy articulated it very well. So thank you, my sister, for that. I want to say something. Simon Sinek is very big at the why. A lot of companies know what they do and how they do it. And you can have policies, procedures, all that. But many times we don't know why.
Why?
When the why is not clear to the leader, and therefore not clear to the team, it becomes very hard. And a lot of businesses have not been set with a core of why do we do this? Because that begins to tell everybody we are here because we want to change the way education is done. We're here because Africa is going the wrong direction. We want it to go in this direction. For you to articulate your why, you have to articulate a pain. And based on your pain, now you can articulate something comes out of it called passion. Bro, let me tell you. There is a difference between somebody operating from passion and from stress. The guy who says, my children are going to be hungry, let me work very hard. And there's this other guy who says, at the core, I cannot wait to see this problem solved. Now, if that's the place we can set our organization to be driven at core at values. It's driven at core at a cause, a place we are going, a thing we want to do. Now, that's the beginnings of creating a culture. Now, you go to many places, and we say, of course, if you're going to show what culture and core values that you have, and I'm interusing that, they are not the same thing, but they allude to the same thing. People show these are our core values. 1, 2, 3, management signs, and they become like points of showing, doing, being accredited by another organization. It becomes like a marketing thing. It becomes like a problem like that. When culture is just a poster boy, then even everybody doesn't know. It doesn't drive the organization in the right direction. And obviously, what will it do? It will not keep the right people in their right jobs for long. So what happens? You keep losing time. Employee turnover is high, customer turnover is high. You keep having those problems. But if you can go and create the core while you're there and build on that, chances are you will now attract the right people. Because one of the tough things is to invite the right people in your organization and keep them. But if you don't have the right core, then you will just get people who come and tell you, these days doing interviews, I don't know about you guys, but doing interviews is not easy. People have mastered the art of answering questions. And they answer, they say, and 2 days after employing them, you go like, oh my God, what did I do? And let me give you, because we're about to finish. Let me give you, because you know what I do. We do biblical entrepreneurship. Let me give you what we say about hiring correctly. And I know we're on culture, but do you know one of our key hiring points is what is your how aligned is the person with your culture? Because your why is clear, what is their calling? Because your why is clear, what is their character?
Yes.
Okay, because your why is clear, what is your competency? What skills do they have that align to us? Because your why is clear, what is their aptitude? As in, do they have the ability to grow with the position and with the organization? So my view, when we give those 4 C's and an A, calling, character, competence, culture, and aptitude, those are our driving space in biblical entrepreneurship, in how you hire. These days I've learned the lesson. Did you guys know having the wrong person is worse than having having the wrong person is worse than having the place empty.
Wow. Yes.
You would rather have no one than have somebody who is not within your culture, within your core.
Wow.
So in my view, as we deal on culture, what's your core? How does that drive the rest of your organization? What's your core? As you define your core, you will define your values, then you will define the kind of team you need.
We want to build.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, Frank.
I wish I would have applied it to what we did when I was leading this organization, but I think our time is up. So more stories for you. As you guys know, stories are not a problem for me. Experience is good. You make a lot of mistakes and you learn from them. Let me give you one quick one.
Yes, go ahead.
When I was getting ready to leave the organization I was leading, I had an issue of succession. And one of the beauties I hear today, we had to sell off part of the business and another part we had to invest in. And the organization became small to accommodate me, so I had to leave. But some of my lieutenants had to leave. Today, when I talk to them on the sales, the things we used to struggle to sell 1 million, 1.5 million a month, these guys are doing 4 times that.
Wow.
I step aside and I say, there's something we did right. The culture that we set up was an entrepreneurial culture. Everybody we hired, we were looking, do they have a problem-solving mentality? So we drew that type of people, that type of team. Guess what? the sales today show that we set the right culture. Culture lives beyond you. If you set it right, it will honor you towards, it will reward you many years after you've left.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Frank, I think we need you again next time. We have to do this again, Frank. I mean, the insights that you're bringing are so awesome, and I can see from the comments that are coming in, Georgina Omolo, from Gabriel Oleko and Julia, they are loving the conversations
like
that we're
lost
having,
on.
because the issue, what you've brought through, the issue of the why. That if you're listening to us, if you're a business person, if you're an executive, even if you're an employee, you need to ask yourself, what is the why? Why do we exist as a company? This company that I'm working, this company that I'm leading, this company that I'm running, what is the why? Why are we existing? Why are we? What problems are we solving? I like one of the organizations that I have to admit I admire is Equity Bank in Kenya. Equity Bank took the banking sector in Kenya in the last 20 years by storm, because they managed to answer the why they exist. They were not just there primarily to make money, but to make a difference in people's lives. So, Frank, thank you very much for your time today, and thank you very much our viewers and listeners for the great for your participation and for tuning in. I'm sure you would want to know who is Frank Kitonga. I would want to tell you, Frank leads an organization called Nehemiah Project International Kenya. And you can see at the banner behind him, one of the things they offer is biblical entrepreneurship. I have gone through this, and I would encourage anyone who wants to understand why they want to do business to get in touch with Frank, to get to understand their God-given plan for their business. Yeah, to understand that business is a calling. Business is it's something that you're given to manage. You're a steward. Yeah, being a business person, you're in stewardship, and you've got to run it well. So, Frank, thank you for coming in today. Thank you for the insights that you've given us, the understanding about culture, about why, about defining what you're doing, and being able to hire right. Today we discussed about hiring right, issues to do with what constitutes a great winning team, the way executives can, build up winning teams. And this is a conversation that probably we will need another session soon to be able to continue with. So for our listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. We are Aurum Consultants. If you'd like to know more about us, at the bottom of the screen, we have our services running on. So Frank, I hope to see you soon. This conversation has not stopped. I hope we'll be able to get you to come in sometime in the future.
Thank you.
And then we continue having these discussions to enable the companies in this country to know, ways in which they can be able to do business better, building great teams, and having a clear purpose in what they do. So thank you very much for your time. We will see you next week, same time, same place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It looks like
yeah, I'm sure Kenji will take over.
Let me tell you a bit as we're waiting for Kenji. Kenji, okay. I was going to say what makes a difference. What is our why? Why biblical entrepreneurship? Yeah. So do I say it, or we close?
Go
on. We're living in a time and in a generation where values are the lowest part. of how business is done. And we want to change the narrative for Africa, for me especially. Want to change the narrative for Africa and make sure that we are no longer just saying stop corruption, or doing business badly. We want to change at the core of doing business. Why? And we want to change that. We want to say, that people we want to value what we do. We want to value the customer we do it for, and we want to do it in a godly way. So what do we say? We say we're building kingdom businesses the kingdom way.
Kingdom businesses the kingdom way.
Yeah. Now Kenji must be back now, so I can preach this the whole night. I'm glad the time allowed.
Yes, what do you say? As we wait for Kenji.
That's what you needed to say.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Actually, Frank, the other day I registered. I saw something called investinafrica.com, and it's I think it's a website, come magazine, come organizational thing, where they're trying to get as many businesses as possible to register. And then they're doing conferences, blah blah blah. So it becomes more like, if you see business opportunities, you can jump in and try and get them across Africa. And then also it's also a form of what's called networking. So you can log in and see if I wanted something in construction in Malawi, say, or in DRC, or in Nigeria, or in Zambia, who is there? Then there's a way you scroll and you see, and you are able to get in touch with them. And I was looking at some of the companies that are advertised there, and what you're saying you are attempting to do really makes a difference, because I saw some companies, they are the types of businesses are registered from A to Z. There are many of them. Then you find a company is saying that it is doing almost all of them. Okay, and they claim they're in several countries in West Africa, and so I'm left wondering, okay, are you an entrepreneur or are you a broker, and what is it that you're doing? Okay, you could tell the ones that are serious, because they're in specific sectors and they're in specific countries, and they even put their website. And if you check their website, you see, okay, these ones are operating, have a clear idea of where they are operating from. So the idea of changing the way Africans do business is something that it's a big challenge. That's a big challenge. It's a big it's a big why, to make entrepreneurs ask themselves, why am I existing? What is it that I'm intending to achieve? Yesterday I had a conversation with my sister, and she consults for a Dutch NGO, and they all agree,